Okay, so in last class we have started with MCP, that is Model Context Protocol. We have seen the client, server, and other thing related to MCP. So in today's class we will do the hands-on. We will see, means let's say if we have a tool, how to create MCP server, okay, and how to call this MCP server, okay. Basically all the integration with the LLM. All this thing we will see in today's class. Okay, so let's start with the class. So let's. So this is a LangChain documentation for MCP protocol. Here they have given some examples. So first we will try to replicate that example. Okay. So here if you see, they have created one math server and one weather server. Okay, so let's see first math server. Okay, so what we can do, maybe we can create a file like math, maybe v1.py. Okay, and we can add any number of tool, right? Let's start with scratch. So let's say these are the two function where this is like a normal function. We have named the function add and multiply. A and B are input argument. The type is int, so that we given, and the output is also int. And we have added a docstring that is required for any tool, right? Now, to create this MCP server, so first thing that you need to install is this LangChain MCP adapters, and one more thing, that is a FastMCP. These two libraries are required. So for creating server, you only need a FastMCP. So let's first install this. To installing that, you simply need uv add simply FastMCP. So this, so that library is installed. Okay. Now what you can do, simply from FastMCP, these two lines we can copy, maybe these three lines. Okay. Yeah. So from FastMCP, import FastMCP. Here you can give any name. Maybe you can give math B1. This is the wrapper. So this is like a, this add and multiply, still it is a normal function. To make it as a MCP based tool, simply you need to add this wrapper at the rate MCP dot tool on above the function. Okay, similarly for this as well. Okay, now this is your MCP server. So all the tools, database, anything that you want to connect by a MCP, so that will be inside a MCP server. So this is a MCP server. Still it is not running. Okay, now, so to create any MCP server, you have to name the function. Basically, you have to create that function, add wrapper around that function, that is add the rate, means decorator, add the rate MCP dot tools. So that will basically tell, okay, this is a MCP functions, MCP based function or tools, any name you can give. Mainly, the thing is like it convert any normal function into MCP compatible function. Okay. Now, the next thing is how you want to run that function. Means what is the transport basically. So there are two way of transport. One is a STDIO and other is a streaming. Since this is running locally, so the best thing is, means you can use STDIO. Okay. So what we can do, simply add this code and the end. Means MCP.run transport equal to STDIO. Okay, so this code will basically tell, okay, this server is a local server and the transport mode is a STDIO. Okay, so now your server is ready and it is sitting inside your system. So this is basically a local server. Okay, same thing. So this is your server. Now the next thing that is required is to call this server, right? Or run this server. For STDIO, the client will run the server. For HTTP based server, you have to run it manually. Okay. So for STDIO, this will be run by the client itself. Okay. Now let's create a maybe now this is basically for now we can remove the async IO. Okay. So the two library, one is for using the client. Okay. So client will basically sending the request to the MCP server. Okay. So it is like okay. So let's say we have a MCP host and inside MCP host there will be MCP client. Okay. And the MCP server code is different that we have created like math underscore. So that is basically our server. Okay. And in this client will basically send request means based on the question. If it is required, we have created a math server, right? So if it found, okay, the question is related to math and it can use the tools. So this MCP client will send the request to the MCP server. It will raise the request. This MCP server will give some response. Okay. And the communication is STDIO. Got it. So this MCP host. So what is how MCP host look like? So this code that we are writing is you can say that is a basically a MCP host. So inside MCP host, client is also one of the thing, right? Now, right now we have connected just math server. Okay. Yeah. So we have created one math server dot. Yeah, this is the thing that we have created math underscore b1.py. So this is one thing. Let's say if I have to connect one more thing, or maybe I can create one more uh, function or server. So let's say weather server as well, which will use streamable HTTP. Okay, I can simply copy that thing and maybe I can create. So this is a weather server underscore v1.py. Okay, and yeah, so this is all the things will be same except in the last where if underscore name main mcp dot run transport equal to streamable http. This is also running locally and you can use http for running locally as well as in the server as well. Okay, so in both way you can use. The only thing is like this thing you need to run manually means this server or this code you have to run it manually. For STDIO case, the host will run or the client will run that uh, script. But for the HTTP based, you manually need to run that thing. Okay, the server. Okay. Now let's create the host. So we have two server, one is weather server and other is a math server. Okay, or yeah, weather server. Maybe I can change the name. No. So you have two server, right? Let's say this is your host, and here one block of code will be client, and you have math server where mathematics related tools are there, and one is a weather server. Okay, so this client is connecting with this server as well as this server. So because of that, we called it as a multi-client server. Okay, so here if you see also, this is a multi-server MCP client. Okay, so there is a single host and single client. The server can be multiple. It can be one or it can be multiple. So it is a multi-server client mapping, or basically we are integrating multiple server. Okay, and okay, one more thing. So this math is connected with STDIO transport and other is a streamable STTP. Okay, that we have called STTP SSC protocol. Okay, and this in STDIO client will run the math server. In STDIO means streamable STTP, we have to manually run the server. Okay, and server is nothing but a code that we need to run. Okay. So first let's try to run the weather server. Okay, because that we need to run it manually. So how to run? Simply uv run weather uh, server maybe. Okay, yeah. So if you see this is running, means it will create some uh, you have run it manually and this is running. Okay, so and this is the basically the URL, means this is running locally. 8000 is the port, and yeah, so this is a weather server that is running locally. Now let's create the host thing. Yeah, we'll copy the other thing. Okay, so here we have first import the library like multi-server MCP client, that is MCP adapter, then langchain.agents create agent. So this is to create agent. This is and this is just to import the secret key or API key. We are using GPT 5.4 mini model. Okay. Now again, I will simply follow this code. Let's copy. this part. Yeah. So here client and multi-server MCP client. The name is, you can write, change the name. So the name that we have given in math underscore. So this is our name. So you can change the name here. Yeah. And the weather name, I think this is okay. Yeah. So in first code, math B1, transport is STDIO, command Python. Let's say if it is a JavaScript, okay. Then instead of command Python, then they generally use npx, okay. Uh, so this is just which means what type of code it is, whether it is a, let's say in our case it is a .py. So because of that command Python, okay, and then arguments. So here you simply need to give your path, okay. So here the math server path is, yeah, this is the my path. Simply I can copy the path, copy path, and simply paste it here, okay. The next is a weather and transport is HTTP. Here you need to give the URL. So the URL is any means currently this is running on the server, local server, and this is HTTP, this one, okay. Maybe uh, we can use this one, copy, and okay. So let's first, so this is my client, okay. The complete code is host, and inside this client equal to, so this is basically a client, okay. So client will help me to establish the uh, connection between the, means basically host with the MCP servers, okay. So here we have two server, one is a math server, other is a weather server, right? Let's run this. So this get means basically eh, this runs successfully. That means this client able to establish the connection with the server, okay. Now the next thing is let's say here. So now this is tools equal to client dot get tools. So if you have to see what are the tools, maybe just a second. Maybe we can try this one. Yeah. So this is the here we have added what are the tools, add, multiply, and get weather. Okay. So if you have to see in math v1, add, multiply, and in weather server, Yeah, this is the function like get weather. Okay, so the connection get established. So that because of that, we able to see what are the tools available like add, multiply, get weather. Okay, now once we have the tools, now we can ask some question. Maybe first let's say create the agent. Okay, now this create agent in my LLM is a OpenAI GPT 5.4 mini and tools equal to these tools. So these tools will get integrated with the agent. So this is get integrated. Now next thing is like we can ask some question. Okay. Uh, so let's see this is what the response for this one. Yeah. So this is the response. Yeah. So the query was what was 3 plus 5 into 12. So the tool call that it use first it use add. Okay, it get the output 8. Then again it need to multiply. So first it added 3 plus 5 add, then 8 into 12. Okay, then it used the multiply tool call and it gave me the 96. Okay, so here two tool call. One is a basically addition, the other is a multiplication. Okay, maybe I can change the name here. Let's say response. Here also response. And okay, now let's say I also ask Sunny in New York. Okay, it will just ask the location. Maybe I can ask one more question. And what is the weather here? Okay, so we have basically three tools: add, multiply, and get weather. So let's see whether it able to give the weather information as well or not. Okay, now let's run this. So first it try to solve 3 plus 5 into 12. It uses a this addition, then add get weather, then again multiplication, and finally you have answer. This is the final answer like AI messages. So this AI message means this is the final answer. 5 plus 3 into 12 equal to 96. Weather here is it's always sunny in New York. Okay. So we have converted, we have created two server. One is a weather server, one is a um, math server, and we have integrated those server with the help of client to the agent. Okay. So this is how the things works here. Okay. So we have seen two transport mode here. One is a STDIO. So for math underscore B1, we don't need to run, right? But for the this weather server, we have run through terminal the code that like uv run weather server underscore v1 dot py because that was HTTP based. Okay. So because of that, we need to run. For STDIO case, we don't need to run this that code run automatically by client. Okay. Let's take one more example. So I have already created few example like uh, one problem that is related to pharmacy. Okay, so I have created one pharmacy server. Okay, and in that I have created a multiple functions. Okay, for example, one function is check drug interaction. So this function will basically tell if two medicine have known interaction or known. Yes. So the argument will be first medicine name, second medicine name. Okay. So basically this function will tell whether we can take these two medicine or not. Means for example, paracetamol or ibuprofen. So here the response is like it is just safe. Okay. Aspirin and heparin, high risk of bleeding. Okay, so this is just if I ask LM whether these two medicines are same, means I give the medicine name, are safe, it will tell the whether it is safe or not. Okay, so this tool will basically give me the interaction. Okay, now the next thing is, let's say if I given any medicine name, is there any generic medicine available or not? For example, Crocin generic name is paracetamol, Calpol, paracetamol, similarly for other. So this is just one dummy function. Okay, so this will basically give me the generic medicine. Then I can also calculate the medicine bill. So let's say price, quantity, GST percentage. Okay, so if I give basically this function, if I give the price, quantity, and GST rate, it will give me the price or it can create the medicine bill. Okay. Now, one more function that we have added, calculate dosage. So based on the weight, it will calculate the total means dose. Means let's say if I take any cup syrup or thing, what is the quantity that I can take? So that calculation generally happen by weight and per weight what is the dosage. Okay, so that is, so let's say these are the group of functions that or tools that come under a pharmacy server. Okay, so in one server, so let's say this is a pharmacy server, so inside that there can be a multiple tools. Okay, and similarly there can be multiple server as well. So for example, before that, this example we have seen like in math server we have add, subtraction, so these two tools are available. In weather server only one tool was there, so inside a server there can be a multiple tools. Okay, and when we connect this server, there can be multiple server or there can be single server, then all those tools are can be attached to the LLM or agent. Okay, so let's say this is the server math, the server name is pharmacy. Okay, let's try to yeah, maybe I can change the pharmacy.py. Okay, so this is not required. Just a second. Okay, so this pharmacy server, let's make the connection. So client basically help to establish the connection with the server, and this is complete code is a host. Okay, once you able to make the connection, then you can see the tools. Okay, so here 4 tools are there. Drug interaction, suggest generic, calculate medicine bill, calculate dosage. Okay, and let's change the name to mini and let's attach the tools. Okay, so let's say this is my query. So patient is 60 kgs prescribed crocin and brufen. Find their generic name, check if they interact, calculate dosage and generate bill for price 25, quantity 6, GST. Okay, so this is the thing that we are asking with the agent. So since agent has these 4 tools, it can, uh, so this is my query and let's first run that thing. Okay, so it run the thing. Now, if I have to see the final answer, so this is my final answer. So here are the result. Crocin generic name is this one. No known interaction reported, but consider. And then dosage calculation 600 mg. Bill calculation. Yeah. So this is the bill that it has calculated. Okay. So this is this answer it able to give with the help of using these tools. Okay. If you have to see the order, how in what order it calls the these tools, so that you can see with this thing. Okay, so this is first query, then it call the tool generic tool it use, then medicine means in that it input the name crocin and brufen, then the second tool call that it use check drug interaction. So in that it put crocin brufen, calculate dosage, then calculate medicine will. Okay, and this is the tool response. So tool message is nothing but let's say you invoke the function or call the function, and the output that you get, that is basically a tool message. Okay, yeah, once it has all the answer, then it can give you the final answer. So that is a AI message. Okay, yeah. So this we have added the um, pharmacy. We have created one pharmacy server and able to connect with means add able to add the with the agent. Okay, so this is means quite simple. Simply you need to create a separate script, and there you need to basically write the functions and then simply add like at the rate MCP tool, and then you have to name that MCP server. Okay, and once you have uh, the code for MCP server, so you can simply give the path. So this is a Python code, so simply all the things will remain same. In only in argument you simply need to change the path. You have to give the path. Okay, yeah, here you have to give the path. It is not necessary that it should be present in this repo. It can be present anywhere in your system. Only thing is you need to give the path. Okay, so this is how we can connect server with the means LLM with the help of client. So client role is to establish the connection with the server, and once the connection get established, then you can see the tools that are available. Basically, since the connection is established, now the client know what are the tools available. Okay, so you can create any number of tools. So this is basically we have created some sort of function. Okay, but let's say if we have to connect some APIs, okay, and used it as a tools, right? Uh, so that example I can see so you. So this is one API related to weather. So this is a real API. Okay. And similarly, there is a news API. Okay. So that also we can connect. For example, if you go to weather, simply search weather API. Okay. So for that you need to log in. Okay. OpenWeather. So this is a free API. You can, for that you need to get the API key. Okay. Um, weather APIs. Currently it is not working. Maybe. Okay, I forget the password, but once you log in, you will be able to get the API key. Okay, so it is like how you get the OpenAI API key. So something like that, it will give some secret code that you need to save in the .env file. So this is for weather API. Similarly, you can also have a Google News API. Okay, API you can save. So to get the API, here also you need to log in. Just yeah, not this one, second one, gnews.io. So here you need to log in. Okay, so here if you see, this is the API key. Okay, so with the help of this API key, you can get the latest news. Okay, but since this is a free, so here if you see the daily request limit is 100. Okay, so you can 100 times you can hit this API. Okay, so this API basically give you the news information. So let's say if I have to get weather, so in weather API you need to mention the city name. Okay, city name, and then you will get the weather information. So in weather information, generally this API give the temperature, feels like, description, humidity, wind speed in kilometer, these things. Okay, and so to get the weather API key, means not the weather API key, means the API is stored in .env file. Okay, uh, with the name weather API key and equal to, you need to paste the API key. Okay, the sample example I can show. Let's say env.txt. Okay, so here weather, yeah, so that you can save, and that you can save. Okay, so this is how you need to save your API key. Okay, for this weather and Google News. Okay, so just showing, I'm showing the example how to save. Okay, once you have saved the API key, then you can create some sort of function around that API. So this function we have created. So in that function, the input is city, and this is basically the URL. Okay, which by hitting that URL, you able to get the output. Okay, for example, maybe I can maybe I can take the help of ChatGPT and I can say generate a URL. Okay, for this one. Okay, give me the URL. It, the country is India and language is English. Okay, so in that it fills. So this is the URL. If I hit this one, okay. So here top headlines, country, India, language, English. See, this is how the information that I will receive if I hit that API. Okay, so here language I have put English and country name is India. So how if you see this one, so country equal to IN. Okay, so this information will pass to the LLM. Okay, so this and how we able to get the response because we have the secret key. Okay, so hitting the URL means this sort of information you will receive. Okay, so this is for the Google News. Okay, now similarly you can also get for the weather API as well. Okay, if I okay, so this is how your weather API will work. Means simply what you need extra thing that is required here you need to paste your API key and then for example here the place city name is Bangalore. You can change the name and simply if you paste the your API key it will give the response in a similar way. Okay, now what are the input that we can give? For example in weather API the input is city name. Okay, which for which city you want to know the weather. Similarly for Google News you can give the country name and language. Okay, so that will be my function argument, input argument. And here also if you see first we have created a weather function. In that city is the basically my input argument and then it will give me the result. Similarly to get top headlines I need to give the language and country name. Okay, so it will give me the news related to that. Then there are some other things like search news. Okay, so using the same Google News we can also search the news. So in that the query will be in my input and the language. Okay, so it will give me the answer related to what I am searching for. Okay, so these are basically means with the help of MCP server we can also connect the API. Similarly we can also connect the database. So for example if you want to assume there is a some banking application and you want to know some customer balance or um, customer information. Okay, so and that information is saved in some database. Your now to get that information you need to, let's say you created some agent which can give the information regarding the customer. Okay, maybe let's say he want to change his phone number or email ID. Okay, and he come into the chat and he said that okay, change my phone number. Okay, now to perform that thing you need to connect some Either it can be database, means you should have the power to change the database, means basically if you have to change the phone number, so that phone number is stored in some place, so that if you have to change that number, you should have the power to or you should have the connection with the that database. And also not just connection, you should have the access of manipulating, means you not just read, you should have a write access as well. Okay, so you can attach multiple things with the help of MCP tools. Okay, and to perform anything or uh, means to make your agent more powerful, you need to give more tools. Okay, or in other way, it is like to, let's say you want to perform some actions. Okay, means you want LLM can do or agent can do some task, then you need to simply connect that tool which can do those things. So that is the uh, main thing. Okay, and how to make connection we have already seen. uh, the client will make the connection with the server. Simply we need to give the server path, or if it is already running, you need to give the server URL. That's the only thing, and then you can attach that with the agent, means the LLM model, then it can perform those actions. Okay, so that is about MCP tools, how we can connect. So in next class, we will start with LangGraph. So right now, there is a single workflow. Single workflow means only one step. We ask some query and then it gives some answer. Okay. For example, let's say based on the answer, I want to take some other action. Okay. Or series of steps are there. So there basically LangGraph is more useful. Uh, you are basically designing some workflow, and there are other things also which LangGraph help. So we will see that in next class. So LangGraph is basically a agentic AI framework. Okay, so framework is nothing but a way to develop any agentic AI application. Okay, so that we will see in the next class. So now that MCP part is done, tools are done, the remaining thing in agent is the workflow and memory and some small topics. Okay. So that's basically come under agent. Any question? So last class video I haven't uploaded. So today I will upload both the things. Maybe this will be first and then the order can change, but I will upload both the things and the code as well in the Google Drive. Okay, I will give you the path. So try to make your own tools and server and establish some connection, call those tools. Uh, Try to play with that things. So only means this is the all these things like agentic AI or Gen AI is means um, concept wise it is not much. Uh, it's not very hard. Maybe miss if you practice or implement even simple code, then also your concept will get better related to these topics. So it is all about practice, nothing else. Okay, okay guys. Then if you don't have any question, then that's it for today's class. Thank you.